Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. Welcome to #PHvote 2013. This is our 10th hour Rapplers coverage of the elections. We are entering hour 9 of the voting, just 3 hours left. We are coming to you live from the Bayanihan Center in Mandaluyong. Our war room coverage is powered by Fiber. You're in our control center where professional journalists, civic society, citizen journalists, IT professionals, yes, they're in the back, they hide, artists and many more are trying to use technology for social change. You'll see most of what we do on www.rappler.com, but we're also a hybrid of broadcast professionals adapting to the web, and that's the coverage you'll get from us. You'll get headlines at the top of the hour, and we'll update you on what's new. But keep us open on your browser when we're not giving you headlines. You'll see our team working to prepare for the next update. You'll hear from our editorial team. You're going to see the stories as they post, our social media team, and Move PH. This is the group that harnesses civic society citizen journalists. Over at Pope Pius, our technical staff is working closely with Comelec on the Rappler Mirror server that is funneling results to broadcast networks ABS-CBN, GMA7, TV5, Solar, and citizen watchdog NAMFRO. Here are the latest headlines this hour. The Commission on Elections says it has, quote, effectively disenfranchised voters in at least 2 precincts. Weather problems hamper voting in several areas, and the church tells its followers, vote Catholic. Well, joining us now are 2 of our guests. We have Edna Ko, the Dean of UP National College for Public Administration and Governance, and Yoly, the Group Chairperson of Campaigns and Gray. Welcome.
Hello.
It's good to have you both on Rappler. Edna, it's nice to have you back this hour.
Sure.
In the last hour, we talked about Una's campaign, and Yoly, there is no one better than you to answer this question. Una was in a difficult position. They had a very popular, successful government in many instances to deal with, and they had mixed messages in terms of how they presented themselves. How would a professional like you have handled Una in terms of its image? Would you present it to its voters?
Well, first of all, in the beginning, they were doing quite well.
They were first, right?
Yes, they were first. And in terms of popularity and trust ratings, their 3 kings, as they were called, were all very popular.
Yes.
But somewhere along the way, there were problems with the 2 of the 3 kings. And if I were one of their advisors, immediately I would have done something about presence, about continuity of messages. You have to be able to shift gears when there is a big market disturbance, such as what happened to them. And immediately I would have advised them, for example, not to have the 3 prominent figures be too prominent. Yes. And would have made each candidate try to get to know the public, get the public to know them better on their own merits.
It seemed with the 3 kings that it became a proxy war among President Aquino and the 3 of them. In terms of name recall, wasn't that the right move? You said you wouldn't go that route. Why would it not have worked?
Well, because if something happens to them,
to any of them, yeah.
Yes, the candidate, let's face it, yes. With the problems of the senior Enrile, yes. The junior Enrile got the brunt of it as well.
Correct.
And from a position of number 5 in the beginning, he really plunged lower and lower, and now I think he's just one of those people hoping to get into the last slot.
How interesting. This senatorial campaign, this fight, is very volatile in terms of both the physical surveys and online. I mean, it's so interesting to watch the Rappler. Yes. The Rappler mock poll had a whole different group of people. Mm-hmm. Why are we seeing so many changes and such a fickle voting population?
Well, honestly, I've never seen so much movement myself compared to historical surveys. And I'm coming to the conclusion that barring any magic being done out in the field, because there were accusations of that, I would tend to think that the information that we're receiving is probably what makes the decision making a little bit harder, a little bit more volatile, and people get to know more information, especially from you guys, from the digital space. I think that's the main, probably the main factor for such volatility in survey results. I've not seen it myself.
How interesting that would be a tie-up. Edna, how would you look at the way technology, I mean, that's one of the few things that has changed. I mean, the names haven't changed all that much, the people who are running, and yet the circumstances during the time they're running has been changed by technology. What impact has it had?
Well, if there is really something that has been very strongly influencing or shaping the things, and as you said, there is one thing that is changing or that has changed. I think it's the social network. The impact of social network really touches young people, middle income groups. I would say, it's not really, well, even people of a certain age have been included in the conversations. The social network is very pointed, it's sharp, but at the same time it engages and it stimulates very significantly people who are into it. I mean, it's different from, like, you go to a town hall meeting and probably they will be spectators, not raising questions, but in the social network, it really stimulates engagement of people. I think that's very, very interesting, and that's been one big change that we see this particular election.
Yoly, does the action in the virtual world on social networks, social media, does it translate to real world results?
We have yet, excuse me, we have yet to find the relationship, but what it does, and I'm pretty sure this is of this even if there is no scientific data to back me up, what it does is that it creates so much information, it gives so much information and has a multiplier effect. In the social networks, that inevitably you begin to think twice or thrice about your initial decisions, and in the end there's a lot of turbulence in eventually getting to the ballot. So even now, even if we did catch the last results, I'm really wondering whether there will be any surprises coming out tonight or in the next 2 days.
Team Pinoy, the administration says that the worst they expect to do is 9-3, and they're still gunning for 12-0. Ladies, how do you react to these kinds of to 12-0, 9-3? What do you think?
Well, I will be very honest to say that I don't find either the Team Pinoy or the UNA the ideal, the coalition that will put up the ideal candidates. I think I have my expectations might be too high, but certainly given what we have and given what is available, I would think that Filipinos do not generally vote for a 12-0 or probably 9-3. Yeah, I think where Filipino voters are really more sort of balancing and accommodating, trying to get some mix of people in. But in the end, I think what will matter also is how Filipino voters sense what type of people they choose from either or from the two slates.
Again, the Niniwala, the trust is what you're looking at.
Yeah.
I think it only happened once. Remember during Cory's time,
Yes.
everyone that she raised won, practically. I think she got 22 out of 24. So that was a phenomenon. I don't think it will repeat itself ever. But judging from the surveys again, I would say that Team Pinoy would probably garner more seats from all indications.
More than 9-3?
No, I would think, it could go as high as 10-2, I would think.
Really interesting.
I would think.
Wow. Well, you have had a lot of experience in looking and playing in the politics. You've seen the way things really work, and you've had to make it work for the candidates that you've believed in. What has changed? Have things changed?
For the midterm election, like Edna, I had a hard time feeling passionate about the lineups. So, in fact, for the first time, I strayed out of the national elections and really took interest in some of the local polls. And I've never done that before because people think Airwire is my area of play.
Yes.
But in reality, I've actually been very, very choosy about the candidates that we've helped.
I've known that, yes.
Sometimes it doesn't have to be candidates that have a good chance of winning. It just has to be candidates that somehow we believe in, we have the same kind of policies that we think ought to be supported and ought to be pushed. And in these midterm elections, I just didn't find the differentiation among the candidates that much, except for maybe Risa Ontiveros, who is essentially an outlier.
Yes.
Not,
Do you think she'll make it? Will she make it into the Magic 12?
Let's put it this way, I'm praying she'll make it. The numbers aren't very encouraging, but I'm really hoping that we will prevail.
What is the role media plays in Philippine elections?
Oh
and I know you can write a
goodness.
thesis on this, both of you, but show in a nutshell through the years, what role has it played from the Guns, Goons, and Gold to this election?
Well, if I may just be very
Please.
objective and very marketing oriented, there are really
Okay.
5 elements in a campaign.
Okay.
There's your candidate, there is your field of opponents, there is the messaging, both the ones that you design and the ones that are written for you, whether you like it or not.
Yes.
Then there is your resources, and then there is organization. Okay, those are the 5 elements that
Yes.
play. So when you're asked, did he run a good campaign? You necessarily have to look at all 5 elements, and you're the expert here more than me. I'm just looking at it from a marketing and a communications point of view. Now, where do you think media fits in? Media fits in almost in every aspect,
single one.
except for the organization probably, and even there, you could actually help build an organization for a political candidate if you so decide.
Yes. In fact, many of the people who do this for candidates are actually ex-journalists or people who work
Exactly.
in media and
Yes.
advertising. How would you rate the way media has evolved through the years? We've talked about politicians a
Yeah.
lot, but what about media? I promise you can say anything. I won't take offense at anything.
You know, I still find the same, I would make the same comment I did 4 years ago, 8 years ago, which is that among media professionals, the best are the very best, but they are just a few. The rest are average, and then there are some that are really obviously patently being paid.
Correct.
You know, in the US they call it earned media, but here earned media means something else. They really do earn. Yeah. So I would tend to think that there are a few that make media worthwhile of the role that the very important role that you were tasked to do. There are a handful, and so far it's enough because as last year's election showed, I think the right people won
Interesting.
by and large.
Edna?
But yeah, I will agree that there are very there are bright people that you find in the media, except that I find it a bit, it's hanging because sometimes the brilliance doesn't fully come out because of the environment within which our media people are stuck in, which is of course about the politics as well. Aside from the external politics, there can be politics within the media itself.
Yes.
So I think just like any other segment in our society, media is a player, but it's also a victim in a sense.
Interesting.
And therefore, it reflects the rest of us in the Philippines, the rest of Philippine society maybe.
I'm going to go back to the question of media because I have strong views about it, but let me first go to the ARMM. All day we've been watching vote buying and violence. This has been the last few days, but let's go to Angela Kasaway in ARMM. Angela, what's the mood there now? You just reported 2 explosions the last time you came back. We are now in the 9th hour of voting. What's the situation?
Yes, there has been more reports of fall-related incidents here in ARMM. And in fact, we're here right now at Camp Salpada, Datos, the site of the Parang Police Regional Office of the ARMM. This is where all cases of election-related incidents are reported. And I'm going to give an overview of the situation in the 5 provinces of the ARMM at the moment. As of 4 p.m., even as all parties pushed for peaceful elections, especially in Mindanao, there were still a considerable number of incidents of fall-related violence. In Lanao del Sur, for example, an explosion occurred at Cabingan Primary School at about 2:40 p.m. when a grenade was thrown at the rooftop of a polling precinct but rolled down and exploded, wounding 4 victims. This is so far the only explosion that targeted a populated area, while other explosions that have occurred in the province or in the region occurred in isolated areas and no one was hurt. In Tawi-Tawi, for example, an improvised explosive device exploded at the back of an elementary school in Barangay Tubig Indangan, Simunul, Tawi-Tawi. It exploded an open garbage pit, but no one was injured or killed, and investigation is still ongoing. In Sulu, there was a shooting incident in the vicinity of Barangay Gagiil, Pangdimay City, that killed a farmer named Abu Linu, age 50, and wounded 5 others. And there was also a report of a firefight between rival political groups. And first group is headed by the incoming governor, Abdul Sakurtan, and the other, his rival in the elections that's going on right now. In Basilan, there was a snatching incident wherein PCOS machines, special ballots, and other election paraphernalia were snatched at barangays Bohe Languyan and Lower Kabengdeng in Tumitip, Basilan by an unidentified person. However, the items were recovered after 5 minutes of pursuit by the PNP, AFP, and the BEI, but the suspects escaped. In Mindanao, as I reported earlier, there were 2 explosions that occurred in Sharif Aguac and in Datuonsay. Now that there has been more explosions that occurred, and there has been a total of 5 separate explosions in Sharif Aguac as of 4 p.m., but no one was hurt and there have been no reports of any further casualties. Also, there have been, I think there were reports of a failure of elections in Mindanao that are coming up in Manila.
Yes.
But based on reports that are coming here from the ground and from the PNP, those are not true. No, there's no failure of elections in Mindanao as of yet. What happened was that there were 4 barangays in Barira, Mindanao, that experienced a delay in the polls after the PCOS machines of 2 barangays were destroyed by unidentified elements. While in another barangay, there was a standoff that occurred, and then in another barangay, the river swelled that prevented the BEIs from delivering the PCOS to the precincts. But all of this now has been resolved, and elections are still going on as we speak.
So, Angela, we are finishing we're in the middle, near the end of the 9th hour of voting. These incidents of violence, are they severe enough to actually stop the voting? What's the mood of the people you're dealing in ARMM?
So far, no. The police, as well as the COMELEC and the watchdogs, are confident that there will be no failure of elections this time around. But, hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. And just as I was getting on the phone to report, reports have also started to pour in since lots of people come in during the morning and in the afternoon. We'll have to see until 7 p.m. But according to the police, of course, right now with all these incidents, we cannot say that we cannot use the word peaceful to describe the elections here, despite efforts from politicians to find covenants of peace and actually work together for relatively violence-free elections. But feedback from the police also said that compared to 2010, there were fewer incidents of fall-related violence.
2010 was a low benchmark, though. If you compare it,
Yes,
that was
that's
when
true.
the
That's
Ampatuan massacre happened, and you had 58 people killed in one instance. Now that we have Toto Mangudadatu 3 years into his term of office and running for re-election again, what's been the impact? Are there changes in ARMM? Can you see it? The incidents of violence continue. It's at a lower rate, but any other changes that you can see?
Based on the feedback from authorities, it's not so much Toto Mangudadatu's rise into power, but the ongoing peace agreement, the peace process that's been happening between the More Islamic Liberation Front and the government. Because of the peace process, there's a general feeling of wanting to pursue that agenda. And therefore, according to the police, there have been few, not just during this election, there have been fewer incidents of heinous crimes in the region, and in Mindanao in particular, although petty crimes are still on the rise.
Okay, fantastic. Angela Kasaway in ARMM, thank you so much. Keep us updated. We've got a few hours left, less than 3 hours before the polls close. Let us go to Cavite, the second largest number of voters, 1.79 million. Natasha Gutierrez is there. She's been monitoring a situation of shifting political alliances, a little bit of a proxy battle going on. Natasha, what do you have for us now?
Hi, Maria. At about 3:30 p.m. here in Bacoor City, police was able to retrieve 4 firearms from 3 different vehicles parked behind the mansion of the Remulias. Now, these guns are supposedly the NBIs who had come because they were called by the Remulias for extra protection. Now, of these 4 firearms, they're all high-powered firearms. They're all licensed, except 2 apparently don't have the permit to be carried during the election. So no permit from the COMELEC. And so we've been talking to the police chief here, the provincial chief, the LASPO here of Cavite, and he says that the NBI could then be filed cases against, which for carrying firearms and for breaking election laws and carrying firearms without the proper permit. So right now, there's a group of policemen here, provincial chief, and representatives from the CIDG, and they are surrounding the 4 firearms, which is exposed on 3 tables, and residents of this barangay here in Bacoor are just surrounding and looking and seeing what's up, what's next, and what the next move of the police will be.
What was the reaction of Senator Revilla? Earlier, he refused to allow the police to come in and check whether the men were armed. How did he react once they had the arrest warrant and found the high-powered rifles?
Well, these cars were actually parked outside the mansion of Senator Revilla. Now, we are unsure if it was inside first and then just moved outside because the police say that, that they sought refuge inside the mansion. But Senator Revilla said they never entered the house, that they only stayed outside. So I have not spoken to him, but I did speak to Vice Governor, or the Vice Gubernatorial candidate, Yoly Revilla, his son, who was quite honestly said that the NBI would not be the responsible. That is not their firearms with the NBIs. And he, of course, said that, it cannot be attached to them because those are not owned by them. It's the same statement earlier that was given by his father. Senator Revilla also said that if there was anything anomalous about the arms that were carried by the NBI, that would not be their responsibility.
Again, the implicit assumption there is that the son of former Senator Panfilo Lacson is actually involved in this as well, and that's part of the reason why the PNP is running after these men. Is that correct?
That is right, Maria, certainly. But it's also a little bothersome to realize that if these are firearms carried by the NBI, if 2 of them don't have the proper permit, then what could that possibly mean? So, clearly there could be forces at play here, but then now that we're seeing the other side, it looks as if, that the NBI also has some explaining to do.
We're coming to nighttime. Cavite in 2010 was violence happened during that time period. What's the mood there now?
It's quite sad to say, but it's almost like it's not even that surprising for residents here. I've talked to a few of them, and to be frank, none of them are extra surprised. Maybe it's also because of the long history of violence here and the violent elections in the past, as you said, in 2010. And the cops themselves also surprisingly haven't shown much shock. So I wouldn't say that anyone is extra surprised about this revelation, although it's of course unexpected. But I do feel that people were a little bit comforted by the fact that it wasn't necessarily Senator Revilla's vehicle where these cars were, but the NBI.
Okay, we're watching the race. Natasha Gutierrez is in Cavite looking at the race between 75-year-old Ayong Maliksi, the congressman of Imus, the governor for 9 years, versus 45-year-old John Vic Remulla. John Vic Remulla's running mate is the son of Bong Revilla, and Lani Mercado Maliksi's running mate is the son of Panfilo Lacson. Natasha, we're going to keep coming back to you. Let's hope things stay calm where you are. Let's go now to Quezon City, where Ace is one of our reporters is there in Quezon City. He was just in Fairview looking at any kinds of anomalies. Ace, what do you have for us?
Maria, I am now at Quirino Elementary School in Project 2, Quezon City, as we receive reports of defective PCOS machines that caused voting delays earlier. Upon checking the PCOS machine for precincts 3947 to 3950, Election Supervisor Virgie Monteverde recalled that around past noon, the PCOS machine stopped scanning and transmitting votes. Monteverde then called COMELEC officials for assistance and was advised to count the used ballots and continue the voting without using the PCOS machine. Monteverde said they counted 271 votes, sealed it, and continued with the voting. She explained that they would not manually count the ballots as they will use other working PCOS machines from other precincts to transmit the votes they collected. Because of this, teachers from precincts 3947 to 3950 will have to stay longer tonight as they have to wait for other precincts to finish transmitting before borrowing the PCOS machine. Meanwhile, Maria Monteverde also disclosed to Rappler that she has been reprimanding voters in her precincts who have been talking to each other and showing each other's ballots while voting. Monteverde recalled that in one incident, while two voters were arguing and showing each other their ballots, one said to the other, "Bayad ka," or "You've been bought." After hearing the two, Monteverde then scolded them and asked them to stop talking while voting. Quirino Elementary School is part of District 3 in Quezon City, where Liberal Party vet and incumbent Congressman George Bernal is running against Una's Matias Defensor Jr. In 2010, Banal won against then-incumbent Congressman Defensor. And that's the latest so far in Quezon City. Maria?
Wonderful, Ace. We will come back to you. It's part of some of the reports that we're getting now is a delay in voting. Let's go now. We'll come back to you soon. Let's go now to Taguig, where we have Catherine Visconti. Okay. We will be going to Taguig, where Alan Peter Cayetano is about to begin his vote. Let's go back. We've been talking about media. So the things that you've heard, again, not so surprising, sad to say, right? What things have changed?
Well, you know, since I went around a number of provinces, because for the first time I got involved in local elections, we did a lot of qualitative research, so a lot of focus group discussions, and I found that it was just for the DE, socioeconomic class, DE, and they were so aware of political issues. Mm-hmm. I was amazed because I'd always, just like many of us who live in Manila, we tend to think that maybe they're not aware of the really, specifics of an issue, and I was heartened by the fact that they knew a lot. They also said that a lot of them in several provinces all said that they expected vote buying, that they were going to accept the money, but that they were going to vote for the person that they really believed in. Whether that is true is of course something else, but the mere fact that they were saying that in a qualitative discussion is encouraging.
It's part of life. But it's also, isn't that also a way of rationalizing?
In effect, I would think yes. The answer is yes. But on the other hand, look at it this way. If you were them and they were being given money, do you think that they can say no
Yes.
and not be fearful or not be afraid of repercussions? So could be rationalization, but I'm just hoping. I'm basically optimistic.
Yeah, no. I'm with you on that. Edna, in terms of the vote buying, the violence, we touched on this briefly before. Is any of this surprising to you? Do you see any change?
Actually, my sense is that, I mean, vote buying and election-related violence have been there
Ever
since, as far back as we can remember. I think we were diverted for a while with the PCOS machine in
Yes.
2010,
Yes.
and that, somehow people's attention was focused on the machine and the imperfections and the challenges of the machines in 2010. But I think with the second year of the second election of the PCOS machine, we then come back to the old problems, that despite the machine and all its imperfections, and that the COMELEC is really responding to the challenges of the machine, we really have to deal once more with the essentials.
Yes.
And that, I think, are the vote buying, the fear, and the election violence. And I think it is not much from the COMELEC that we can expect on that. It's a question of how we sort of educate our people on the vote buying, but it's also about some structural changes have to take place. And by that I mean, for as long as there is continued poverty, people will never be free to make their choices and to make the decisions. And whether, I'm hearing from Yoly that the DNE would always want to have hope in the election, and I share that. Except that if there is an environment of fear, and if there is an offer, and if you're talking of a poor household
Yes.
here, I mean, what choice do people really have? So I think basically we're running round in circle with the election, and we have to put back what is essential, which is an administration that has gone a little bit up there, has to really address poverty so that there is a better environment for election next time.
No, if I may just comment
Please.
on that. In my travels all over, I realized that a good deal of poverty is deliberate.
Yes.
What do I
Yes,
mean by
in
that?
that-
I have seen, especially in the areas where dynasties
Yes.
have ruled, there is a deliberate attempt to disempower. They feed them, they give them money, they give them
Yeah.
hospitalization funds, etc. But they never educate them.
Yeah.
They are completely disempowered, and they are very dependent on the ruling family.
Yes.
And that is how they are kept where they are. They're
Like
barefoot
vassals.
and
Yeah.
and in the kitchen.
Well, let's go to that race in Camsur. I mean, you've got Leni Robredo versus the Villafuertes, who've been in power for more than a century.
Yes.
Since the time of the Americans. How is that shaping up, and what are you doing in this campaign?
Well, I'm so glad that this time I can talk to you authoritatively based on the tracking surveys that we actually did. In the beginning, when the campaign hadn't started yet, Leni Robredo had a lead of 63, and Nelly Villafuerte, her closest rival, had 19%. And this was in February, prior to the election, to the campaign proper.
Yes.
And then we went back there last April, right in the third week of April, sort of in the middle of the elections, and she had gained. And she was now 78%, and Mrs. Villafuerte had 13%. And this is done by TNS,
Yes.
and it's very, very scientific. So in Camsur, 3rd District of Camsur, I'm very, very confident that Leni Robredo should win by a very big margin. Now, the only thing that will change that is, as you probably read last week, there were allegations of massive
Yes,
vote buying.
yes. We did
and-
several stories on it just yesterday. There was somebody filed, and then
Yes.
Lenny then went ahead and challenged, and then the Villa
Yeah.
Fuertes responded.
which again was expected by her group.
Yes.
But you see, with that kind of lead, it's almost impossible. The only way you can do that is by a concerted, massive fraud. That's the only way that you can overturn that kind of lead. So I will be very, very shocked if Lenny Robredo doesn't win.
The argument for automation is that it should cut down election cheating. Do you ladies believe this?
Well, we probably need to do a bit more of a systematic study as to the extent by which it has contributed to diminishing the cheating. But my sense is it has somehow reduced certain acts of cheating. For example, the delay in the turnover of the results,
Yes.
especially from far-flung provinces,
Yes.
which
Yes.
was a big cause of the cheating, has
Yes.
been cut down
Yes.
by the PCOS machine, by the quick turnout of the results. Yeah?
Yes.
Of course, there's other arguments that it can continue to have cheating.
Comelec and PPCRV actually said that now there's a lot more vote buying because if you can't influence
true.
it in the end process, you come in at the beginning.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Not necessarily on the day of the election itself, but it could be before or even, But I suspect that it has somehow contributed to the reduction of cheating. The anxiety also psychologically, yeah?
Yes.
If people say, I want to know what the results is, and you have them delivered quickly, more efficiently, I think that somehow also sorts of removes the idea that there was intervention, human intervention, that there has been manipulation. So I think whether true or not, psychologically it has sort of contributed in a positive way to people thinking that there is reduced cheating.
Yoly, you said if this, given such a wide lead, it would be very difficult for Lenny Robredo to lose.
Yes.
How could it happen?
As I said, it's really almost impossible. There are 235,000 registered voters in the 3rd district
Yes.
of Kamsur.
Kamsur.
And if 78%, I mean, assuming a 100% turnout, and
Which is a lot.
78
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
78%
big.
are already committed. And it's the other measure that I apply is whether it's a hard commitment or a soft one that can still change.
Yes.
And in the case of Lenny, the hard commitment was over 50% of the 78. So as I said, unless they're going to buy, 200,000 voters, it's almost impossible. Almost impossible. The only other thing that I was told that they could do was to really, they call it kidnapping. So they'll go to a district, they'll get all the voters, and then I was told that it happens that they'll give them a picnic, anything just so they won't vote. Especially if they thought that that particular district was sympathetic to the other candidate. But again, how practical can that be? How many picnics can you launch if the lead is that great?
Given the deep-seated, the roots of a lot of the problems we've talked about today, if you're young and you're idealistic, and we've certainly seen them through the years, and they walk into the system and slowly they either get co-opted or they leave the system. If you're one of those young ones today, what advice would you give them?
And in fact, I sort of teach also at the Ateneo School of Government. I keep suggesting that we have some sort of a course that is going to teach political newbies how to stay on the straight and narrow path. In Harvard, they even have an introspection course. it's really for those in business and those in public service.
Yes.
And it is meant for you to be in touch all the time with why you are doing what you're doing, why you run in the first place.
Yes.
Of course, if from the very beginning you run because your father said so,
Yes.
that's a different story.
Yes,
But
then you're part of the dynasty. But Yoly, I want to come back to you on that. Right now, we have. Oh, so she's not that. So let's go back then. So if it's part of a dynasty, then it's not the same.
Well, first of all, I think that the moment elections is over, we should do voter education right away. We should not attempt voter education.
Now, I have heard you say this many times.
Well, I said
through
that
the
last
years.
year.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I think our NGOs, our civil society people, probably know better now. But especially talk about the issue of political dynasty. You cannot talk about that in depth and with great enlightenment in the few months before an actual election. That has to be covered well way before.
Yeah. But how do you give these idealists the support system? Because our political party system doesn't really exist. And in other countries, that's where they gain experience by running a party system. What path do you see in front of us for reforms?
Well, so I mentioned voter education, but I also think that we should really have a party system, study the party system once again, and maybe go back to a two-party system. Because really, the lack of ideology and the lack of any party principles is the one that is causing so many of these problems to happen. There is no differentiation from one team to another. Hardly. And it's difficult to know all 24 of them, for example. What is their belief? What is their ideology? Why are they running? Why should we vote for them? Very difficult because the way we're set up politically, it's really a mess.
So I sound like such a cynic, but I'll be the devil's advocate again. In this one, our institutions are weak to begin with.
Correct.
And we don't really have political party systems.
Yes.
Where do you find hope to actually reform this system? You're talking about a two-party system, but we've been trying at it for 27 years.
That's true.
Well, we're a multi-party system actually, but still, it seems this elections that the party system may even have degenerated further, if it was even there in the first place.
Yeah, well,
it
notice
became
the coalitions.
Yes. Oh, let me run. Now we finally do have Catherine Visconti. She is in Taguig with Alan Peter Cayetano. Catherine, what do you have?
Hi. Well, Senator Alan Peter Cayetano and his wife, Taguig Mayor Lenny Cayetano, have just finished voting. And while people usually make a show of hiding their ballots, and his wife certainly did, he decided to display his ballot to the media to prove that he was, as he said afterwards, putting his differences behind him and voting for the entire LP slate, except for himself. He decided to endorse Brother Eddie Villanueva instead of himself, which he had already alluded to this at the meeting de avance of his wife.
Are you supposed to show your ballot during elections?
You know, I'm not certain it's the exact rule. It definitely seems like the secrecy folders are there for a reason and for recommended use. But
well, let me ask, Catherine, please stay on the line. Edna, Yoly, Alan Peter, Senator Cayetano showed his ballot to prove that he voted for the slate and that he also voted for Brother Eddie and not for himself. It's a grand gesture. Actually, it's beyond gesture. It's a great act where he didn't vote for himself. But is that legal?
You're not supposed to.
Not supposed to. I think the voting is secret, it's private. What should be public is the counting, the canvassing. That should be, I mean, the thing is, I think this is the first time I've
interesting, yes.
Yeah, this is interesting. I've heard of someone who shows the ballot and who he voted for. So I'm not sure whether it is legal is something else, but my understanding is that in terms of as a political exercise, voting is sacred. In fact, we should keep the ballot out of everyone's sight.
Interesting. Let's put some context. I want to go to Taguig because Taguig actually is an interesting race, and we've been following it. Senator Cayetano and his wife is running for re-election. Our super desk, can we go? Who's got the mic on there? Victor, can you give us context on Taguig and Senator Cayetano's actions?
Well,
Is it to me?
Go ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead, Victor.
Yes. Well, I guess one thing that we have to note is that the gestures that they're putting out are, in one sense, very grandiose, but at the same time, there are a lot of issues outside the immediate sphere of what they're doing that's also noteworthy. I mean, in addition to, as much as Cayetano was talking about, was showing his vote, so to speak, we have to, I guess, check more or less whether or not that's, I guess you could say.
Well, why don't we check on it then,
Okay,
and
yes.
then we'll go back to you. Catherine, are you still on the line?
I'm still here. I'm here.
All right, Catherine, tell me. So, what was the mood after he did this? It's a grand action for sure.
I think at first we were watching him, and his wife was using her folder, and he wasn't. So we had the media, an orchestrated circus, lots of media men surrounding him, trying to get a glimpse of the ballot, which was very easy. And then he walked and brought his ballot to the PHvote machine, and made it very clear of flipping over his ballot multiple times. As the media took pictures of him before he put it into the PHvote machine. So it was as if he was letting everyone take a very obvious peek at this ballot. And he again did not bother to use the manila folder to keep it secret. And I think again he just really wanted to emphasize, as he said at the end, that he was behind Team Pinoy 100%.
Well, you covered him during the rally where he did talk about it, and he gave hints he was planning to do it, and he asked people to vote for Brother Eddie. Again, the reaction of the voters around him. You talked about the media, but how did the voters react?
Well, I mean, it's interesting because there weren't. He and his wife were the only actual two voters in the room after one came through. But I saw reactions on social media, and people were saying, why didn't he vote for himself? Doesn't he have faith or trust in himself? The vote should be a vote of confidence. So I was seeing very mixed reactions on social media. Not everyone was jumping on board that this was a laudable action on his part.
I'm going to quickly hold you. Josh Villanueva, head of social media. Catherine talked about some of the reactions on social media. Do you have any reactions on Senator Cayetano's vote?
Yes, Maria. I've been monitoring. Actually, the comments have been coming from the party of Senator Cayetano. So I haven't really noticed anyone. People are used to seeing candidates pose with their ballots, so I don't think the reaction on social media, no one has really called them out for doing so.
Okay, interesting. At the 9th hour, at the start of the 10th hour, fascinating development. Catherine, any other interesting developments from Taguig?
Well, this is a very interesting race here because we have two political dynasties. We had Lani Cayetano beat the father of Rica Tinga, who she's running against now in the last election, and Rica's brother was the mayor 3 terms before that. And last time Cayetano ran against Tinga, we saw this was a hairline victory. There were about 2,400 votes separating them. So we really want to see what's changed this time, and if it will, what will happen this time, if it will be as nail-biting of a race.
Okay, thank you so much, Catherine Visconti. She's reporting to us live from Taguig. Meanwhile, I'm going to throw you to the head of Move PH and the author of Ambition, Destiny, Victory, Chai Hofilenia. Chai, give us some perspective on this vote of Senator Cayetano.
Hi, Maria. Actually, the ballot is supposed to be a very private, personal document. You're not supposed to show it. So we had reports earlier about the talking while voting voters. That's
Correct.
not supposed to happen. And that is the reason why they were scolded by the election inspector. So if an ordinary voter is not allowed to talk or to show his or her ballot, so much more for a candidate or a government official. Government official, such as Senator Cayetano, is not supposed to have done what he did.
But it's not, is it against the law?
I'm sorry?
Is this against the law?
Yes. You're not allowed to do it because the secrecy of the ballot is paramount.
Can you give us some perspective on what this means? I mean, why a broad gesture like this? Why would Senator Cayetano want to vote for Brother Eddie and then show that he is loyal to Team Pinoy?
Actually, you're not. A voter is supposed to be independent, so he need not have shown his ballot just to prove that point. I don't know if it was his way of. I wouldn't want to say buttering up, but maybe he just wanted to prove a point, but it was really unnecessary.
Okay. Chai Hofilenia, the author of Ambition, Destiny, Victory. She's been leading Move PH. Thank you so much for giving us perspective. We'll check with Kamalek on that. Ladies, let's go back and let's wrap up. We've been all over again, another dynasty situation. The local races lead to power politics, don't they? Inevitably.
Very much. And it becomes very personal.
Yeah.
Extremely personal.
Yeah.
Do you see, again, you were both optimistic when we started this, but do you see this changing through the years? Has it gotten better? Has it improved?
Not because of deliberate measures, but more of accidental ones. For instance, the Ampatuans. I mean,
Yes.
that was en masse.
Yes.
You know, the whole family, I guess, was thrown off the path that they were headed for. But I think now that people, even in the provinces, are talking about political dynasties,
Yes.
I don't know if there is depth of understanding there, but the general feedback on political dynasties is that you have to still gauge the family members one by one because some are better than others.
We do see that in some of them. correct?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So they have brought that up. So maybe going there, because in marketing you don't try to do a 360-degree turnaround on beliefs.
Yes.
So you have to do it a little bit slowly, but hopefully within a certain frame of time, not during our lifetime, for instance.
Sana, I hope.
So, but I think that if we were to discuss political dynasties at that public level, maybe in the next elections there will be less of it, and so on and so forth. But that will have to be accompanied by a better party system, a stronger way of getting a culture of leadership. Because right now they even say that the really good ones who should be in public service don't want to get involved in public service precisely because of all the...
It can get quite ugly, can't
Yes.
it? Yeah.
Because you don't have the stomach for
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
But again, it has to be done a little at a time, maybe right now, right after these elections, and then hopefully you will get it better on the next presidential election in 2016.
I
You guys, you have a very big role to play. I think the digital media will play a very important role. As it is from 2010 to now,
Yes.
your role has become even more important. I know some people, some of my colleagues who do communications advice say that the digital world is not that influential because you don't vote. Most of the people who are engaged do not vote. But what he is missing is the context, what
Yes.
you bring, the information, fast information, the multiplier effect, the interaction.
Yes.
That is what is best about the technology.
that sways. Your last words, Edna.
I think as an academic, I cannot help but remain optimistic because we always tell people who feel depressed, who feel so pessimistic about the whole situation, we as academic would offer things to keep us moving and to keep us going. And therefore would say, well, in spite of political dynasty, we should look at how people can continue to offer themselves in public service, and we should support any effort to make themselves worthy public servants. And you know, it's a way of really stepping up, offering people some choices other than those who are there traditionally. But the other thing is, in the Philippines, Filipino voters are allergic to political parties. When they hear political parties, they just seem to squirm and say, we don't want that. But I think the reality is that we have to form an aggregation of interest coming together. And Filipinos have potential, a very strong potential to come together. Let's draw our common agenda. I think that's the essence of the political party. We can call it by the aggregation of interest by another name. But you know, we have to move things towards that direction. I have problem with putting it back to two-party system. That may be really a very big challenge.
It's funny, people react either to two-party system or go to a parliamentary, right?
Yeah.
We've had this all day. But we're talking
and
about the
party list
structure.
has also muddled up our party
People,
system.
right now, you know, there are 121 on the list of your ballots, but you're only voting for 111. So,
and I think I agree with Yoly. Political dynasty is a strategic matter to think about. It cannot be only this election. We have to think of it in the long term, and therefore the options should be varied to reduce that. And we have to begin now, immediately after May 13 election. So I think that's my final thought.
okay, before we go to you, Yoly, I just wanna throw it to Aris Rufo, who has been covering. He's been covering the Taguig race for Rappler. Aris, does Aris have a mic? Can we give him a mic? Okay, so Aris, please tell us, give some perspective on what just happened in Taguig and the secrecy of the ballot.
While you were discussing the issue regarding Alan's showing his official ballot to the media, I called up a former commissioner and asked him if this is a kind of violation or a form of violation on the Omnibus Election Code. And I was told that showing your ballot to anyone or to the media is not among listed as violations in the Omnibus Election Code. So you cannot include something that the law does not include. But in the context of vote buying, if you show your ballot to someone just to prove that you voted for that person because he paid for it, you can be charged for vote buying, for showing your ballot. But in the context of vote buying or bribery.
So can I ask you, and feel free to answer or not, but what is the political impact of Senator Cayetano showing a Team Pinoy and his vote for Brother Eddie?
I think he showed his ballot just to dispel or disprove or disabuse the minds of some people who thought that he encouraged or he egged the people to drop one of the Team Pinoy candidates. That's what he did, I guess.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, Thank you. Aris
you very
Rufo
much.
has been covering Taguig. He's had several in-depth stories on Rappler. Yoly, I'm sorry we keep ping-ponging, but to close off this hour, we've gone through the gamut. We've gone through vote buying, violence, your own experiences in media. The polls are about to close in less than 2 hours. And you already know, basically, you have an idea of who's going to win. Looking back, when we look back at the 2013 elections, what will we say about it?
Well, the midterm election is normally not as interesting as the presidential race. And in fact, when I voted, I noticed that there were far less people. Maybe it could be just the time that I was there, but really it feels like even in the coverages, it feels like there are less people that are voting. I hope I'm wrong, but usually that's 70% turnout for the midterms and much higher for presidential.
75%, right?
No, actually, it's more than that. It's just that they didn't count everything. But really, I saw CRV saying that they had 92% last time.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so the turnout is quite high, much higher. I think that we should stop putting symbolisms in the midterm and make it like as if it were an oracle for
the 2016 for the presidential elections.
I also believe that the 2013 elections has shown the need to cultivate more leaders in our country again, and especially in the local areas. If I were to do a marketing plan for a voter education, I would really pick on certain areas already and begin there. Make it scientific.
Fingers crossed. Okay. Thank you so much, Yoly Ong with Campaigns in Gray and Edna Ko with UP's National College of Public Governance and Administration. Let's go again to this hour's headlines. The Commission on Elections says it has, quote, effectively disenfranchised voters in at least 2 precincts. Weather problems hamper voting in several areas. And the church tells its followers, vote Catholic. We'll be back with you in a short while. Stay with us and watch while we gather the news for you at the top of the next hour. Keep us open on your browser and hit refresh at the end of the hour. We're in this would be the 10th hour of voting. Talk to Rappler.com on social media, on Facebook and on Twitter. Use the hashtag PHvote. Rappler's coverage of today's elections continues. If you haven't voted, run. You have less than 2 hours left. We'll be back.